everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome to week 1, day 2 of the 2025 Wonderful Hats Crochet Along. Today we are working on our Deep River scarf to complement our Deep River Beanie, which you can see here. The Deep River Beanie crochet pattern is currently available here on the channel. You'll find it in the Wonderful Hats Crochet Along playlist. Our scarf today continues the same or similar texture, our twisted stitches, and then some half double crochet stitches here in the third loop, and then I've added a fringe to the end. My finished scarf measures approximately 7.5 inches by 55 inches, excluding that fringe. I am working with the Heatherly yarn by WeCrochet and Knitpicks, and this is a worsted or medium weight yarn with a wool blend. For the scarf, the dimensions I have here about 7.5 inches by 55 inches. You're going to need 2 balls. Each ball has about 218 yards. You can of course adjust your scarf, which I'll give you instruction on how to do that as we go if you wish. So you may need less or more yarn depending on what you choose. You're also going to want a 5mm crochet hook and a copy of the free written instructions, which are on my website at richtexturescrochet.com. I've placed a direct link down in the description of this video. Also down in the description you'll find a direct link to my 2 books that are available currently on Amazon in paperback and ebook formats. I have barn quilt blankets as well as intermediate crochet stitches, which is a collection of my favorite stitches, and then this book here is a collection of 5 beautiful crochet blanket patterns. So you can check those out. They're now available on Amazon and the links are in the description. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to take a look around. Don't forget to subscribe and keep checking back for the further crochet patterns in this year's amazing crochet along. Let's grab our hooks and yarn and get started. Now our scarf today is worked in rows, and we're going to be working along that short end, which measured approximately 7.5 inches. So today for the scarf I'm going to start by making a slip knot. You're then going to work a foundation chain. Today for the 7.5 inches I'm going to work a foundation chain of 31 chain stitches. If you wish to change the width of your scarf, you're simply going to need to chain an odd number. So today I'll start with 31. And 31. Once you have that foundation chain worked, you're going to begin row 1 by working a half double crochet into the second chain from your hook. You're then going to work a half double crochet into each chain all the way across. At the end of row 1, you're going to have a total of 30 stitches. At the end of row 1, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. We're now going to work in the third loop all the way across, and we're going to work single crochet stitches. To find the third loop of your stitch, looking at the back of your half double crochet, which is currently facing you, you're going to see a loop that runs just along under this front loop. This is your third loop. You're going to insert your hook in under that loop only and work a half double crochet into the first stitch. Your chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And then single crochet in the third loop of each stitch all the way across. As you work, you will see that working in the third loop is pushing the top of your stitch forward, which is going to give you a nice ridge of texture. At the end of row 2, chain 1 and turn your work. There's that ridge of texture now facing you. For row 3, you're going to work a half double crochet into the first stitch, and then simply half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. We are now once again working just under the top loops of our stitches. At the end of row 3, chain 1, turn your work, and for row 4, once again working in the third loop all the way across, you're going to single crochet into the first stitch, and then in the third loop of each stitch work one single crochet all the way across. At the end of row 4, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. Now your chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so for row 5 we're going to begin by working a double crochet into that first stitch right at the base of the turning chain, and then double crochet into each stitch all the way across. At the end of row 5, work a double crochet into the final stitch, chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 6, we're simply going to slip stitch into the first stitch, the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then slip stitch into each stitch all the way across. When you come all the way across, you're working your final slip stitch into the top of the double crochet, not the chain 2. So finish in the double crochet, chain 2, and turn your work. Now for row 7, we're going to start working some of the texture in the pattern, and this is created with front post double crochet and double crochet stitches. So you're going to begin row 7 by working a double crochet just into the first slip stitch. You're then going to skip the next stitch, and around the post of the next double crochet 2 rows below, you're going to work a front post double crochet. So yarn over, bring your hook in front of your work and insert your hook around the post from front through back, out through the front again around the post of that next double crochet 2 rows below. Yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 more. You're then going to work in behind that stitch just worked and work 1 double crochet into the previous skipped slip stitch of the previous row. So just double crochet into that skipped slip stitch. You're going to repeat this process all the way across. Skip the next stitch. Around the post of the next double crochet 2 rows below, work 1 front post double crochet. Then working in behind that double crochet just worked, work a double crochet into the previously skipped slip stitch. Repeat this all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. Once you come all the way across at the end of row 7 and you have 1 stitch remaining, you're going to finish off by working a double crochet into that final slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 8, we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch and then each stitch all the way across. You're working your final slip stitch into the top of the final double crochet, chain 2 and turn your work. We're now going to repeat row 7, work a double crochet into the top of the first slip stitch, skip the next stitch, which is your front post double crochet, 2 rows below and slip stitch, and then work a front post double crochet around the post of the next double crochet 2 rows below. Double crochet into the top of the previously skipped slip stitch. Skip the next stitch, front post, double crochet around the post of the next double crochet 2 rows below, and double crochet into the previously skipped slip stitch. Repeat this all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. At the end of row 9, when you come across and have 1 stitch remaining, double crochet into that final stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and for row 10, slip stitch into that first stitch, and then slip stitch into each stitch all the way across. At the end of row 10, chain 2, turn your work. Now once again, you're going to repeat your row 7, double crochet into the top of the first slip stitch, skip the next stitch, work a front post double crochet around the next double crochet 2 rows below, and a double crochet into the previously skipped slip stitch. Repeat that all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. At the end of row 11, you're going to finish off with a double crochet into the top of that final stitch. You're then going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 12, instead of working slip stitches, we're going to work single crochet stitches, 1 in the first stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. And this is for row 12. At the end of row 12, chain 1, turn your work, and for row 13 we're going to work a half double crochet into that first stitch, and then half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. At the end of row 13, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and now for rows 14 through to row 182, you're going to repeat your rows 2, beginning with the single crochet into the third loop, row 2 through to 13, for a total of 14 more times. That's going to mean that by the end of your scarf, which will be about 50 inches or so, you're going to have a total of 15 sections of this textured front post stitch. So you're going to repeat rows 2 to 13 a total of 14 more times. You're then going to meet me back here, and you can work the final few rows of your scarf, and I'm going to work those final few rows with you right now. So I'm not going to work the full length, but just this section, but you're going to have 15 sections of this textured stitch, and then you're going to work these final rows. You're simply going to, at the end of row 182, for row 183, chain 1, turn your work, working in the third loop across, single crochet into that first stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch, working in the third loop all the way across. So this is just to show you how to finish off your scarf after you've worked the full length. And then of course you can work your scarf longer or shorter. Sometimes I like having scarves that are more 65 inches in length. This one I kept at 55, just to try a little bit, something a little different, and as well keep it to 2 balls of yarn. If you go any further, you're going to need another ball of yarn. So I'm at 183, working a single crochet in the third loop all the way across. I'm almost across here. At the end of row 183, chain 1, turn your work. And for row 184, we're going to work a half double crochet into this first stitch, and then half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. For row 184, you're just working in the tops of your stitches. At the end of row 184, chain 1, turn your work. We're going to work one final row of stitches. You're going to be working in the third loop only, and you're going to work a single crochet into that first stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across, always working in the third loop. At the end of row 185, you're then ready to fasten off. You can go ahead and weave in any ends. Your scarf will of course be much longer. And then it's up to you whether or not you want to leave it without a fringe, or if you would like to add a fringe, as I have here on my sample scarf. I'll show you how I like to do that. So what you're going to do is, once you've fastened off, you're going to take and cut lengths of yarn And the final measurement is really up to you. Mine is here at about 7 or 8 inches across. And I'm going to cut for each tassel at the end, probably 3 to 5. Okay. And then again, if you want your fringe longer, just cut longer lengths of yarn. Shorter, of course, you'll cut shorter lengths. I'd like to make it a little bit longer than what I intend to have at the end, because once you have finished working all of your little tassels, you will take your scissors and then go and even them out as you go. So then just beginning in my first stitch, and I like to work in every second stitch all the way across. You're going to just insert your crochet hook, take those 3 to 5 lengths of yarn, or thicker if you'd like thicker tassels, and you're going to pull it through that first stitch. You're going to pull them through and fold them over so that the ends meet. And then for my tassels, I'm going to also pick up this tail here and work it right into it. I simply like to tie a knot. It makes them nice and secure, especially for a wearable and a scarf that's often washed or gets wet in the snow, and you're just going to pull that knot tight. You're going to continue to repeat that in every second stitch all the way down your scarf. Once you're finished, you can then go ahead and just trim off these ends so that all of your tassels are the right size. Go ahead and tuck in any other ends you might have in your scarf, and that's how you work the Deep River scarf. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I invite you to subscribe, take a look around, and stay tuned for the rest of the patterns in this year's Wonderful Hats Crochet Along. Until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.